Hello students, welcome you all for another video lesson from our 8th class New Pathways English textbook. Today we are going to discuss Unit 4 Section 1 Emperors on Ice. Before we go ahead with the lesson, let's know some interesting and very exciting advertisement. Advertisement: Men wanted. For hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. Now, let me ask you a few questions. What kind of people do you think would have been suitable for this job? Would you like to apply for it? Why? Why not? Dear students, when you think of the above advertisement, you get goosebumps because it involves a lot of risk, danger, adventure and excitement. Only the people who are brave or courageous enough dare to accept such kind of challenges. The people who are timid, easily frightened are not suitable for such kind of operations. When we are ready to accept the challenges or take risks, we should not look for the result of our action. We should only do our work. The result comes naturally or automatically. Emperors on ice. Let's know some important facts about penguins. Penguins are flightless birds. While other birds have wings for flying, penguins have adopted flippers to help them swim in the water. Most penguins live in the southern hemisphere. The Galapagos penguin is the only penguin species that ventures north of the equator in the wild. Large penguin population can be found in the countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Chile, Argentina and South Africa. Penguins eat a range of fish and other sea life that they catch underwater. Penguins can drink seawater. Penguins spend around half their time in water and the other half on land. The emperor penguin is the tallest of all penguin species, reaching as tall as 120 centimeters in height. Emperor penguins can stay underwater for around 20 minutes at a time. Penguins in Antarctica have no land-based predators. On 27 June 1911, Dr. Edward Wilson, Apsley Cherry, Gerard and Lieutenant Henry Robertson Birdie Bowers left their base camp. They carried two long 9-foot-long sledges loaded with 757 pounds of supplies and equipment. They had to work hard at Antarctica's Ross Island in the pitch black, absolute dead of the polar winter. They were going on an adventurous and dangerous task of collecting 3 emperor penguin eggs. The trio reached the penguin rookery at Cape Crozier. Cherry, one of the members in the expedition, expressed his desire to be in a warm bed for just one night. Dr. Edward Wilson started a 6-week trip in the depths of the Antarctic winter and described it to be the widest bird nesting expedition that he has ever been or ever will be. The first rookery of breeding emperor penguins was discovered in 1901 by Lieutenant Skelton at Cape Crozier on Ross Island. The discovery, the expedition ship was trapped in the ice. It gave Skelton the opportunity to be the first biologist to study about these astonishing birds. The laying of eggs by the birds in the middle of Antarctic was one of the most astonishing ornithological discoveries. The people thought that emperor penguin was considered to be the most primitive birds. That's why the ornithologists crave for these eggs. These eggs would help them to find the development of the other reptiles. Obtaining the embryo of the emperor penguin was regarded as a major ornithological prize or a great achievement. These explorers knew that the journey would be very dangerous. But Wilson, one of the explorers, was very much interested in the expedition because it would bring scientific achievement or reward once they are successful. Wilson was not interested in the name or fame he would get after the exploration or expedition. He wanted to find out the truth about the emperor penguins. They also felt that this winter journey would give them expected opportunity for further scientific work. Firstly, it would give them the opportunity to try out difficult climatic conditions. Secondly, Scott requested the meteorologists to give predictions about suitable weather conditions to be faced during his attempt on the pole. Captain Scott described Terra Nova as a wonderfully fine ship. The ship moved with mighty shocks, crushing and grinding a way through some, twisting and turning to avoid others. The ship appeared like a living thing fighting a great fight. Wilson, the zoologist, accompanied them as the chief of scientific staff to an expedition. It was intended to be a biological victory. It was an irresistible temptation for Wilson to study the breeding biology of the birds. Reaching the South Pole was considered to be an extensive scientific program for Scott and Wilson. Captain Scott started planning his second expedition abroad Terra Nova, the Antarctic midwinter that was reinforced from they decided to make their 70-mile journey from Scott's base camp to Ross Island to the penguin colony at Cape Crozier during those adverse weather conditions. During their exploration, they got a chance to study both Adelie penguins and emperor penguins very closely. They were also able to get year-round fresh meat and eggs. Terra Nova set sail towards Cape Crozier early 1911. Bad weather caused severe delay of expedition and they experienced pack ice when entering the Ross Sea. They were late. As a result, they were ordered into the McMurdo Strait. The team had arrived at Ross Island on 4th January 1911. They established their base at Cape Evans. A small tent was put up there for their home and a number of meteorological and magnetic stations were established by the team to collect the data. They spent the remaining day of sunlight to explore the region. On 23rd April 1911, the men at the main base settled into their routine, taking scientific measurements, preparing equipment, and exercising the dogs and ponies. The three British men, Wilson, Birdie Bowers, and Apsley Cherry Gerard, set out from their base camp at Cape Evans at midday on 27th June 1911. They walked out with sleds of food and equipment, left base camp and trudged into a freezing, pitch-black, gale-battered nightmare, Cape Crozier. It was about 120 kilometers away. The temperature there was minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit as low as minus 77 degrees Fahrenheit. It was very difficult for them to go ahead. The ice was moving and splitting like glass. There were a lot of cracks around them and they ran along for 100 yards. They had understood that it was a very difficult expedition. Their teeth cracked and they feared that their bones would break. The impact of the weather conditions on them was horrific. They built a rock igloo to help them to study the penguins at Cape Crozier. It was from here that they made their way onto the sea ice and became the first men to witness the midwinter breeding of the emperor penguins. They mostly bred in a place where it is very difficult for the people to go. It is very difficult to locate their habitat as well. The explorers finally reached the emperor penguin rookery by climbing the huge walls of ice that surrounded it, and finally they snatched 5 eggs. After snatching 5 eggs, they were trying to reach back to the igloo, but they could not reach safely with the eggs. Cherry dropped 2 of them. It was not the only misery that they experienced. They were trapped in a particularly violent blizzard. By the time they reached there, their tent had been blown away, and later the igloo roof as well. They remained bundled in their sleeping bags. They felt that their lives had been taken away and given back to them. On 1st August 1911, the trio finally staggered back to the base camp, their faces blistered and scarred, clutching their precious load of 3 eggs. They had spent 6 weeks in the Antarctic winter traveling from Cape Evans to Cape Crozier to gather rare emperor penguin eggs from their natural habitat. Finally, in 1934, the zoologist C.W. Parson analyzed them and concluded that they did not greatly add to their understanding of penguin embryology. Scientists no longer believe that embryos help much in studying a species' evolutionary history. However, Russell added that the specimens were used in a later study of emperor penguins and were reckoned to be useful. Though it was not a successful one, they are still there for more study and reinterpretation. The earlier studies were invaluable. It was the worst journey in the world. This ordeal was immortalized in Apsley Cherry Gerard's The Worst Journey in the World. It was one of the most popular travel books ever written. It was one of the most astonishing journeys to be successfully executed throughout the heroic age of Antarctic exploration. Dear students, I hope all of you have understood the lesson on penguins and their history. Thank you all. Have a nice day.